18 water parks. It's crazy.
Well, look who decided to show up to the meeting today.
What's going on, Peters?
Nino, we had a meeting scheduled. There will be consequences for you showing up late to it.
I've got about an hour and I need to properly divide my time. So, what would you...
We're waiting for Turner.
I got you. All right.
Yeah, yes. Hey, good to see you, Sawyer. What's going on?
Hey, nice seeing you too, Ass Chief. I hope everything's going well, and I hope you're actually getting an adequate amount of sleep. And if you need anything that I can do, you can just always call me.
Okay, well, don't piss me off. I might have to Maxwell you.
Well, what's that mean?
That's Peach. She knows. Get out on duty.
You
I'll see you
got a
out there.
cigarette by any
That's
chance?
fine if I get sent off duty, sir. I deserve it.
Okay,
I do things knowing that they're wrong, sir. I'm aware.
Did you hear that, Chief?
I heard all of it.
Okay.
Do you normally, like, what is it? Dry your laundry in front of others?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, it's air out. Air out the laundry. That's what I was looking for. So, right.
Hold on a second. What do you mean by that?
Let's go over the conversation we're here for, Peters.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So I'm going to set the basis since Peters is kind of hearing this for the first time. And this is going to be the point of view that I'm looking at it from. From Michael, when did we first do the contest?
Of the legislative process?
Yeah.
Fuck. November?
Was it? It was before November.
You're probably right.
Yeah, that's when the meetings first started. I think it was like October or maybe even...
It was mid-October. Yeah.
So history. The justices in the DOJ were doing something that we called shadow edits to the legislation. What that, by power that was not appointed to them. What that meant was citizens, the police department would wake up and there'd be alterations to existing legislation without the proper process being used. In other words, things would change without it being published. Eventually, this got so bad that things were being done politically. For example, I don't even remember what the things were. Like, oh yeah, if anyone wanted to post new legislation, that was shadow edited to make it so that anyone could literally contest it with nothing. And it was done mid, new legislation being posted up, things like new businesses or whatever. So there's a lot of fuck games being done. This went against the Constitution, as constitutionally, they are not the mayor's office, whether it's Blaine County or Los Santos County, posts legislation on behalf of its constituency, which includes you guys. And after conversation or whatever, you bring things forward, and then the public can then contest it if they feel like they don't want it, right? And then it goes to public vote. Unfortunately, the way that it was working is that they were just creating shit out of their ass, right?
And not telling anyone.
And not telling anyone, yes. And the second thing that was happening was some of the egregious actions were making FOIA, the FOIA process cost money. So if you worked at Senior Buns and, I don't know, there was like a police report where they're a victim or they hit someone or whatever, they were making them pay, they'd have to figure out which department wrote it, and then they had to pay a fee for each and every report that was produced. So let's say they got, to provide an example, let's say you found a firearm that belonged to a citizen and they didn't report it, and it worked worse than it does now. But let's say there was 25 incidents in the last 2 years that revolved around this, they would have to pay, I think, $50,000 just to get the report of the alleged crime that they did, right? The second was they made themselves the ultimate authority over everybody, which doesn't exist. Number three, they severed the DOC and put them under themselves. So it just kept happening over and over. So we contested it because it's against the Constitution. It went to the state officials. We had multiple meetings with the governor, whatever, where he stated they do not have ultimate authority. They have legislative power over judicial matters. In other words, something goes to court, they make a ruling, they can set precedent. They're the mechanism by which things get published, but they are not a legislative branch. They do not propose things. In fact, they're not even supposed to be writing legislation. That's not their job. Their job is to interpret it and make sure justice is served. Makes sense so far?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
And you're talking about the marshals?
No, DOJ.
DOJ, okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Those meetings and updates to the legislation happened from November all the way to, I believe, the beginning of February or the end of January. This is meetings with the governor, where everything was clarified. We agreed to a system in which it wouldn't be fucking docket bullshit, where, like, let's say, Turner, I said, no cops can't have guns anymore, right? Just pulling something out of my ass, and I went and submitted it. Mm-hmm. And you're like, hell no. And you and the PD either paid $250,000 or whatever it is, or got 50 signatures. We wouldn't actually know that you submitted it, right? It would be anonymous. Number two, we wouldn't know who the signatories are. Number three, you and I wouldn't get to talk. We would just find out, hey, it's contested by some anonymous entity. We don't even know what their problems are. And so you could literally just grief other people. Like, I'm just shooting straight, because that's what was happening to us. Is like, people would just grief each other. It'd be like, you know what, fuck Nino, or fuck Princess, or fuck whatever. I'm just going to go get 50 signatures and fuck over the legislation, right? Like, you wanted a new law? You know what, let me just fucking fight it. Now it goes to vote, and now I'll go around and be like, hey, that legislation that someone's posting, it's about you're not allowed to, you can make up some bullshit and people are going to vote how it is. So
Right.
The new thing that was set up, and it was all agreed upon, is that legislation is submitted. If someone contests it, it goes to arbitration. What that means is, in the city and not on the fucking internet, the persons that wrote it and the persons that are against it in a public forum say both their sides. I don't want cops to have guns. And Turner, you would say, no, they need guns because we need to protect people. And then we can go back and be like, and then I could be like, you know what? You can have guns, but only in this case. And you're like, well, actually, if we came to an agreement, it would get updated in that arbitration. It's like a forced public forum. And it would then get up, the legislation gets updated, everything's good. If we did not come to an agreement, the public is now informed what this is about and the two sides, and now it's up for vote for 3 days. So, any questions thus far as to like how the system works?
So far, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. As a part of the same conversation, it was made very clear that the DOJ's role is not to create legislation. My office said, you know what? We actually want you to still do it because there might be cases where it makes sense, right? Even though the governor said that you shouldn't be posting it, and it's not in the Constitution, we'll still provide that avenue, right? It's just it needs to be in the space of judicial matters, right? Like if like, I don't know, like there's a court case legislation or whatever the fuck, right? Like, you know, still have that avenue. It makes sense. Fine. Pred was against it. I convinced him. The Sama head was against it. I convinced her. This is not Perry Watson. This was, what's her name at the time? Naya Nash. Because we wanted them to still participate to a degree. In the same meeting, we also allowed them to be authorities over the penal code, which meant publishing rights, not create penal shit out of their ass rights. Because penal code is a part of legislation. Things cannot just magically become legal or illegal, right? It either needs the case law or it is created as a consequence of legislation. Like, you need a fishing license to fish in Los Santos County. There is a penal code charge if you don't have one. Make sense so far?
Yep.
The first negative action that was made, that we sort of bit our tongue on, is we were told in these meetings, this is in February, that they're just adjusting the time and fine. They did not tell us that they were adding a bunch of random shit like jump boots are illegal because they come from the cargo ship because so-and-so told us. That was their first act, which showed me that they're literally not conversing with each other, and they're operating under bad faith, and they're doing things against the Constitution, and they're fucking stupid, if I'm just going to be just straight. And this is, they might be nice individuals, but they are collectively fucking over everybody with that action. This goes beyond. The second part was that some of these fines and times were increased by 900%. When challenged post facto, right? This is a meeting that came afterwards. I was told directly that when I said that these things need to be put through legislation, and if people are contesting it, they have the right to vote and the right to contest. The answer was, oh, but Nino, everyone's a criminal. They're going to clearly not vote for it. And I'm like, okay, like, Miss Authoritarian regime, like, we're living a democracy. We're not in this, you know, you can't just dictate how 99.9% of the population should work and be based on your vision. It's literally authoritarianism. And I got pushed back and I was like, oh, that's a little too far. No, that's literally what authoritarianism is. Our Constitution was put into place so that people of the city have a choice how our life is lived, right? And there are avenues, and I use the example, we passed new taxes in Los Santos County. If I was able to get taxes, I can get other shit passed too. People just want to understand the why. That's why arbitration exists and why these avenues exist. They should not be just some dumb fucks that are emailing each other and saying, you know, Hydra and the besties have a shitload of money, so therefore put the fines up by 900%. And if this sounds like I'm joking, it's not, because this is literally what was being said in these meetings, is that these groups have so much money, we need to raise the fines and take their shit away. That's not a functioning San Andreas. That is a San Andreas where people start migrating away because we're setting an economic policy based on two of the biggest criminal organizations in the city that have tremendously more wealth than everyone else. But even then, we didn't push back, right? Now, why the egregiousness, why my office is taking this very egregiously on this case, is because a couple things happen, and this isn't, I want to be very clear here, this isn't on you, this isn't on Ventura, it isn't on Dakota, because y'all are operating based on what you thought was right, Y'all weren't in these meetings for the past 3-4 months. Those that accepted this knew better, and it was not an accident, because this is the foundational building block that we spent months working on. As Michael put it best, there are less steps to make to do the legislation process correct than it is to make Jell-O.
True.
So there's a last 6 months, and now.
Well, so something I want to quickly update you with that I found out after I spoke to you. I told you that we are the ones that pushed it. Is that right?
I think there was lack of clarity over it. Yep.
Okay. Oh, I got clarity that the DOJ essentially was going to be the, I think the word was publishers for it. The right word. We're the underwriters.
Sure.
They're the legislative branch pushing it
Yep.
forward.
Yeah. Well,
Was what
technically
it
they're
came
not,
out to.
but
I was told the justices signed for it, is what I was told.
that is correct.
Trying to get clarification.
They
Okay.
signed it, and then you guys had the underwriting signatures of it, but it is coming to light that they're not the ones that put it forward, right? Effectively, this document that was written, y'all aren't underwriters. You would be underwriters if someone from the DOJ said, I need this, right? Kind of like with me, right? When someone says, hey, I want to do this, I said, yes, we're going to do it. And then these gentlemen right here, or those who aren't here, would be my undersigners, right? So I'm taking the action, they're writing it for me. But in this case, y'all aren't underwriters, y'all are putting it forward, right? And what makes it worse is that the original signatory is Justice Angel. So what I'm saying is that it's bad enough that this is actually, what's the word I'm looking for? This is similar to the equivalent of someone signing a check on behalf of somebody else. Not you guys, but the others. So we are going to be going down some legal avenues in regards to all of this. I do think that the VAF stuff should still be figured out, but you know, there's like a bigger constitutional issue that's currently at play side by side. This just happened to be the vehicle by which it was exposed.
So what's our next step here with this VAF legislation then? Are we pulling it back? Are we allowing it to ride? And if it does ride and get passed, however that looks, is it legitimate? Where are we at with it?
If I could quickly, this is where it gets a little bit challenging, Turner, because the veracity of the legislation needs to be argued publicly through arbitration. And the question now becomes, who does that? Is the DOJ as the legislative proxy, effectively, that pushed it forward, the one who defends the legislation? Or do you and Ventura and Nakota, right? And at that point, you know, that's not our system, unfortunately.
Yep. So, and just to put it even more clear, this is why they shouldn't be passing legislation, because they're the ones who are supposed to be overseeing the arbitration.
Right.
Right? That's why it goes through the mayor, so that they oversee arbitration. Right? Like you guys said it through me or said it through Princess, right? You might end up with like a more police leaning north, a more crim leaning south, or whatever, or maybe it's balanced, whatever it is that when someone pushes it forward, or you can even do it without the mayor's office, is that the judiciary is supposed to be there to oversee it. But they keep foolishly signing shit so that nobody can oversee it except for it to get thrown in the trash. Right?
That's it. I mean, they can't even move this forward to arbitration because they're inherently conflicted.
Yeah. They effectively put themselves in a position where now the state has to look over it. Like it's we tried to simplify this, right? But I don't know. It's like I said, it's
Okay.
yeah. So
then I guess my question still stands. So what is our next step here? Is it pulling it back? Is it allowing the state to hear it, or where do we go with this at this point?
what likely is gonna happen is we're gonna push some stuff to the docket. They now should be the ones probably pulling it. As underwriters, you can't pull it because you just wrote a document on their behalf, which they didn't even request.
Okay.
And then it probably needs to be resubmitted through one of the legislative authorities, the actual legislative authorities, which is, myself or Princess, right? So if let's say,
realistically, if you want it statewide, it would have to go to both.
well, I don't want to go that far yet, right? Like, that's a technicality.
So then, how does that work when it's a statewide legislation?
So we have clauses in there. There's two avenues. One avenue is, let's say, to give an example, Princess can send it, and now all of a sudden it's VAF law in Blaine County, right? And she can push for it to become state by getting me to sign it, or vice versa. Either we both can sign it, or one can sign it and the other one can sign it later, right?
Ultimately, though, since it's state law, both have to sign it, though, at some point.
There's vehicles by which things can become state law through referendum. But from a political perspective, given the pushback that's already coming, I would say that in and of itself should be an indicator that some sort of public discussion should occur in which the public is made aware what these changes are and why it's good for everybody, right? And if there are grievances, that those grievances are taken on and the document is altered. This is why it sometimes takes us weeks to get things done, as we're constantly having people review it, like yourself as well. You've seen, you get copies, other people get copies, and we cook because we make mistakes, right? We're human.
Perfect. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, my guess here is that there probably is because you and I have spoken about this, right? Generally speaking, I think you and I have had a pretty good understanding of what makes, I think it's just the public doesn't fully understand it, and there are things that even I didn't know was in there, right? But I think that would be my recommendation.
Legislation was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I obviously talked to several people, not just yourself, and I get mixed information sometimes from people saying the other side's incorrect in one area, and unfortunately it's making
gotta get them everyone in a room. Yeah, we have a meeting, a big thing on it. You know what I mean? That's.
I mean, I got to be there for one of the DOJ meetings.
Well, it's not even DOJ has nothing to do with this. This is
no. The next meeting y'all have with DOJ, that is.
Oh, that we haven't had one in a while. Fucking, they kept postponing, and then they don't. We set up meetings to have conversations. These people don't exist.
I mean, I'm going to say it outright. I'm being told, what we did was fine. Everything was within the purview of the DOJ, and everything was fine. From the DOJ.
DOJ literally doesn't know the things that they.
I understand, and that's hard when I'm looking for direction by those same people. So it makes it very.
Well, they're gonna find out because you're gonna see some things that are about to hit the docket. TLDR, we're pulling their ability to push shit, because the governor already said they couldn't. You know what? It's not even in the Constitution. So, if they can't read, that's a bigger problem. Especially when they worked on they literally, everyone that signed that VAF, Turner, was literally in the discussions and a part of the updates. We still have their comments in it. So, it's like,
you're talking about justices.
Yeah.
Okay.
This isn't even like inherited stuff. This is like we all worked on it for 3 months. We waited for them. We'd do our updates. Then we wait a month for them to read it and put their comments in or whatever. And it's like, we all agreed to make, pumpkin pie this way. And then all of a sudden they're like fucking making like turkey. So there is no room for like, I don't know. This isn't an accident.
You think this is being done maliciously?
Just a pattern of
If it's
behavior.
not malicious, I'm even more concerned. This is 3 months, dozens of hours of meetings, a Google Doc that's been open for 3 months with them actively commenting in it, right? And it's like only 2 pages. So like to be like, I didn't know how it worked or it's an accident is like crazy. It's crazy work.
So your thought on this is between incompetence and
Yes.
maliciousness. Okay.
Like AI would, like, I don't even know. Like I'm trying to find a analogy here, you know, but that's the best one, is that you and I both work on the perfect, this circle works on the perfect, you know, pumpkin pie recipe and for our business, right? In this case, the business being the government. And we all agree like, oh, okay, you know, we're going to use pumpkin slices and this and that. And then one of us goes off and we come back to the potluck and we're literally standing there with a turkey on a platter. And we're like, what the fuck?
Okay. I think you clarified quite a bit here. We'll stand by then and wait to see what transpires with that legislation.
Yeah.
And what comes out on the docket, and we'll respond accordingly.
Yep. I would recommend probably later this week. I'm going to be gone for the next day and a half or whatever. I wouldn't be too concerned about the function of the process right now, but rather I think what you guys are trying to do, both departments, with this VAF stuff, that conversation with the public should start kicking off. Like, here's what we're trying to do. Here's how it makes sense. And if you would like myself and Princess to help set that up, help go through the concerns, like as the middlemen, as is our job, we can also do that as well, right? Get the feedback on behalf of the constituency and, you know, play that intermediary arbitration, right?
Yeah, I
So-
mean, absolutely. If that's something we get going.
Yeah.
Would you like me to take it to Princess as well then? Or is that something you want to take to her, or how do you want to go? What's the route you want to take?
I think the first is we got to figure out who owns this document. Like who, you know what I'm saying? Like who's like the main guy, right? Who's the decision maker? And I know there's a bunch of underwriters, but we don't even know like who the spearhead is, because the spearhead that makes the final calls.
If I'm going to be honest, it's probably myself and Ventura. I don't think there is one. We combined our documents that we both had running, and neither of us submitted them until we both approved them.
I would then recommend that you both have a chat and figure out how you guys want to handle it, and then we go from there. You know what I mean? Just so we don't end up agreeing to something, then he's against it. You know what I mean? For reference, him and I have been getting along pretty well, so I hope he understands our perspective. Yeah, we had a pretty good
I think
hour-long conversation the other day.
Good. I mean, I think ultimately we want to work on getting this push through. I think a lot of this is, while also important to keep track of, also above our head to some extent. So we're trying to stay involved, stay aware, but also try to keep pushing the direction we're going with it, right? So,
absolutely. The sooner you can start talking to the public, like Flippy, for example, the better. So that's my thing.
Might give him a call. Come down.
Yeah.
Have a conversation with him then. See what his grievances are with it.
Yeah.
We go from there.
Oh yeah. All right. Any other questions on this like topic? Feel free to ask anything.
I think so TLDR, right? This is what I got, and correct me if I'm wrong. DOJ believed that they were the ultimate power. They decided, instead of acting in a democratic manner, to take issues into their own hands for the health of the police department, pretty much said fuck everyone and push forward what they wanted to do.
Correct. But it was, yep. It wasn't just the police department. It was also, do you remember when they said the marshals are your authority? They did shit like that too. So it wasn't for the PD. No,
I should say just for law enforcement, because you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I said that is the shit with the jump boots and fucking everything else. And then you going on about listen, we live, if
Yep, the DOC, the authority over the police department, that they're your boss, like, you know, you don't respond to the mayor, to like, there was a lot of shit.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I'll throw this your way. The last shadow edit that was made was to limit impeachments and ACRs to a 30-day statute of limitation the day after we were going to impeach one of the justices.
Who did that?
Take a guess.
Was it Angel?
Well, yeah.
First try.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, all right.
No fucking way.
Yep.
Still in there.
We only just learned it. Because, like, we don't, there's no way to know until you fucking look at the history. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of fuck shit.
And that was a shadow edit?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a ton of shadow. You missed a bunch of fucking random edits, misconstruing, not even misconstruing, but blatant manipulation of verbiage from the Constitution to give the marshals ultimate authority in situation. I mean,
it was so bad.
What was the claims when that was brought to light?
There isn't. That's the problem. Yeah, it was done. They didn't have to tell anyone.
That's ridiculous.
The food stall one still gets me. I had a conversation with the food stall owner, so I removed the financial requirement to contest legislation. That one was fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's what happens when you put yeah, it was bad. That's why it took months. That's why we're so passionate about it. It's like I'm supposed to be the bad guy in this storyline. What the fuck? I can't even be the bad guy. Like, I wish I could put on like a Darth Vader costume, and then I can be like, I could be Palpatine, and I could go look at Turner and be like, Turner, we need to take over that. I can't even cosplay that shit. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta.
Nope. No, we cannot.
Oh man.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate all y'all's times. Appreciate you explaining it to me, and I guess we'll see what transpires over the next week or so.
Yep. Absolutely.
Never hesitate to reach out, Turner. If it's anything legislatively related, by all means, reach out anytime.
You know, do I have your number?
Should.
Let me double check.
Are you familiar with Serenade, by the way?
There you go.
Yeah, I do have your number there. I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't believe you, Matt.
Serenade is one of the most OG judges, multi-generation tenured. He's been a part of our staff for a minute. I know he's got other obligations sometimes, so he'll be here sometimes, whatever. If it comes to like new shit you guys are writing up, he's a good person to also look over it.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help.
Sounds good. Let me get your number then as well. I'll just give you a call so you have mine, and I'll save you after here.
All right. I just put my number in the limit list.
Oh, perfect. Okay. There we go. All right. I got it down. Well, thank you all very much.
Yep.
And we'll definitely be in touch.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
All right. Have a good day, okay?
It was well.
Take care, Turner.
Thank you.
All right.
See you around, Nino.
Peters.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, I got 5 minutes, then I gotta run.
Yep. No worries. Where are we at?
So on the document front, everything is there. I put everything in a single document. So don't focus on structure. Don't focus on flow. I'm going to wait for you to tell me what the plan of attack is, and I'll separate stuff out as needed.
Pulling it out now. 1 sec.
Yeah.
Oops.
I believe Tony and Serenade have both taken a first glance at it.
Yeah, I'm still going with a fine-tooth comb at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, let me start by saying you're a crackhead.
Oh, well.
This was written by Michael. What? Did you do this last night?
I did it this morning. It took me an hour and a half.
Okay.
You know, that really, the 30 minutes extra really just makes this all less impressive.
Oh, well, shame on me.
Nino, done 45.
If you have it up, effectively what's going to be here is the contest. And immediately following the contest is going to be the articles of impeachment and the ACRs. And then after that, as appendices, are going to be the first and second constitutional amendment, the amendment to the legislative process that restricts the DOJ's ability to legislate outside of court cases. And then lastly is just a constitutional revision, which is not necessarily required. But what it does is it basically separates the DOJ definition outside of the heading in the Constitution that says legislative authorities, because effectively that's not what they are anymore. You can do that through a separate amendment, or quality of life, just move them to their own section in the Constitution. While he is reading, the one challenge...
I think we should file... Oh, what the fuck?
Uh-oh. Did you starve, buddy?
I didn't have breakfast this morning.
Oh, yep. Understandable.
A burger?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nino.
So... Does... Okay, so just to set the tone, I've got 30 minutes and then I got to fly out of here. I'll be back Thursday or Friday.
Yep.
In the interim, I think that there should be, I think what is our plan of action? I feel like, should we
springboard?
Okay,
be honest.
let me hear what you think. Like how do you think the play should be?
So rather than dropping a singular bomb, I think you use the VAF contest as a springboard. Drop the VAF contest with the ACRs and the impeachments, and then following the outcome of those proceedings, push the constitutional amendments and the legislative proposal and approval process amendments.
Are we not able to simultaneously push our own contest? I forgot if that's still a thing.
Contest of...
The same VAF. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We can.
I think we do that for under procedural mistakes.
It's here. It's already written.
I think we have that reviewed. Send it to me. I say we fire this Thursday, just so there's enough time. I think the simultaneous thing is in that file a writ to produce who is the author.
So I can add that, and the other thing that I've filed through this is a FOIA for the outcome of the vote that they needed to have.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Let's, in the top of this, a to-do list of what you believe is the order of operation, bullet points as to the whys, like what is it achieving, so that collectively all of us, including those that are not present, see what the order of operation is. I think that way, if strategically we decide we want to alter that ordering, we can do so. This also gives enough review time for Serenade, etc., to, see what our goal here is. Because regardless of what happens with this VAF thing, we got to send it anyways.
Yep.
I would appreciate the extra time.
Yep, absolutely. Do you need a doctor?
No. Just one of my muscles seems to be a little having some difficulty.
Yeah, this is good. I think before our tenure ends, we need a mechanism by which people that are looking to contribute to the judiciary should have a means by which they can become justices. I think without that, the system's going to fail anyways.
So
right?
let me take this.
I do think that there is a reality where people are going to look at us and be like, you destroyed the DOJ. No, they destroyed themselves, right? If they weren't trying to be the reincarnate of whatever, authoritarian leader, then, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But seeing that there is hemorrhage, an institution that's falling apart, it is not good for the state of San Andreas that it be left empty-handed, right? It's been months. Even going back before our tenure, right? Like, it was like, for better or worse, at least Angel was around, right? And I'm going to go on a defense here. If I was Angel and my peers literally just, sat at home all day and I was left unchecked, then why wouldn't I, right?
Yeah.
She was extreme, bootlicker mentality, right? Ex-cop, ex-trooper, whatever fucking, like, that's a role in Sanguine. There was no balance, right? They were there to balance. Just as McNee, when we asked during the Pred case, how are you letting them conflict everybody standing there? No one stood up and said you can't do that as an equal peer. Being silent is being complicit.
Agreed.
And now that, Tree needs to be, I think we need a mechanism by which those lawyers out there, those that want a path to become magistrates, judges, or ultimately justices, we need that tree. We need that avenue so that there can be a replenishment and a replacement when needed. I think that's something we really...
Kind of something that I was thinking about. A long time ago, I had mentioned to you that I was drafting the Continuity of Governance Act.
Yes.
I think we can use what's happening here to piggyback that on top of it. So it's basically ready. I can put it in our email chain for review.
Good idea.
Shortly. And then I think that is both a necessity and also something that just goes very hand in hand, especially with more oversight if we're able to actually get that through.
Remind me and everyone, what was the continuity? What was the TLDR of it?
The TLDR basically is the Continuity of Governance Act. Establishes a clear path for both successors, interim office holders, as well as outlining the democratic process in which their vacant offices are filled. So it goes through and through like a declaration of vacancy, interim appointment, depending on certain variables, such as, let's say there's a scheduled election that's, a week away, right?
Yes.
Requires somebody to fulfill the duties.
This was for mayorships, right? This is a continuity act in relation to, like, what if a mayor is pulled? How does that look like?
that's where the idea came from, but it encompasses every, basically every department. Mayor's
I
office,
love that. I think that's a great idea.
The Department of Justice, it does the Chief of Police, all of these different things. EMS, it goes on.
I love this. Yeah.
If there was, it also could be expanded to outline a higher state authority if that is in the cards.
I think maybe this goes side by side with the mechanism by which justices are appointed. You know, like the full fucking gambit. I think that gambit is needed because one thing that you've been missing, Serenade, is that these magistrates and judges are being bullied into stepping in line politically. I cannot find a better word to describe that. Would that be accurate, Michael? Or even Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a far reach from my tenure as a judge, where there was conflicting opinions consistently.
To Grayson, based on a ruling, was chastised endlessly by those who report to, and then these dumb fucks tried to change the law based on they tried to set precedents based on the opposite of his ruling. Yeah. Yeah. And then I had to explain to them how precedents work, and then they tried to convince the cops to appeal that case so they could write precedent.
Man, that's not how that works.
It's called Uno reverse precedent.
I see.
Yeah, so it really is a lot of incompetency. I don't know. I want to underline this because it's very important. These aren't bad people. They just don't know what they're doing. And the DOJ severely needs someone who's a legal nerd, right? Mm-hmm. Crane was a legal nerd. He was cranky, but he was a legal nerd, right? Yeah. And without that, how can you be successful, right? It's like if the PD was operated by somebody that, you know, just thought like you're just that the PD's role is to shoot people. You know what I mean? Like it's some like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, we couldn't still go down the route of appointing like a special counsel or an individual to reorganize the Department of Justice if necessary.
Yep. 100%.
Because, like, not every piece necessarily needs to be thrown out. You don't got to get rid of the framework necessarily, but just everything that occupies that space could probably use a rework.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that would most efficiently get it on track. And, you know, just it would, in a sense, eliminate it would have to be from outside of the Department of Justice to kind of eliminate favoritism, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the thing that we've sort of spitballed is that anyone that serves as a lawyer today has a path to become a magistrate, right? And I think that a magistrate, after having a certain amount of criterion, which is oversaw X amount of, let's say, bench trials, maybe get some probationary trials, right? And then can become a judge. Here's my argument. If you've overseen X amount and you haven't been impeached, then you're probably good enough, right? A justice, we shouldn't be top heavy in leadership, right? It could be something like, and I'm just spitballing. I'm not saying this is exactly how it is, but just I like the outline is that maybe we only need 3 justices. They're meant there to be oversight of the DOJ, right? They're there for appeals. They're there for legislative hearings, right? That's their role, not day-to-day shit. And so their intent is kind of like Turner, right? They're making sure his organization, known as the LSPD, is operating and those under him are operating, is that maybe they only does need to be 3, and maybe every X amount of time they have to run for re-election, and then there's like a nomination requirement, right? A judge for, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, and then a mayor can nominate them, kind of like how it works in the United States, right? So maybe it's like a nominee, and then there's like a referendum, something like that. I feel like something like that would make sense.
So I do agree potentially with 3, right? 2 being regular justices, 1 being chief justice. And in the sense of the
let's not call it chief justice. Let's call it speaker of the DOJ. I'm serious. Like,
okay.
Because I think the reason the nomenclature of chief justice can be read as they're the ultimate decision maker, when it's more that you need the speaker who's that their words are the official authority of the DOJ rather than that they are the boss, right?
Yeah. Well, part of the I guess the ultimate function that I had envisioned, at least so far, thinking into this, is that they're a tie-breaking vote.
Love it. I like that.
And, the speaker aspect of it, the voice of the DOJ also lends well to that, too.
Guys, I got to step out. Saren, when you post it up, just ping me, okay?
All right, will do.
Catch you guys later.
All right.
Later.
Yep.
But yeah, so that individual would occupy a different position, but I can see them filling necessary, like filling in for a necessary review or something like that as well.
Yep, I love it. I have to dip as well. Michael knows. Get ready for the reviews, gentlemen. I'm going to be back soon. Junior, how have you been? I know you and I got a chat, so I'm gonna.
Take your time away. I'll speak to you later this week. That's cool, bro.
Easy. Tony, how did the remedy conversation go?
It's still in progress. We talked, but she is adamant about staying it, and
okay,
I am too. So
okay,
we're just trying to figure out a middle ground with things. I know Michael had a conversation with her afterwards.
Yep. I believe that your success is your individual collective success. Otherwise, you will get cooked by someone that runs. You have your own constituencies. I can tell you based on how our voting has went, like it's you don't want to end up with collectively having 300 votes, right? But someone beating at 160. You know what I mean? So, all right, gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Take care, Nino.
Take care.
Catch you later, Nino.